Nakama, I'd be scared there for a second. Don't play with me like that. Don't play with me. A big thank you to our final patrons, Strawbones, Redwolf4765, and Midnight Gemlord. Now, before we come to this breakdown / review of Chapter 83 of Fourknights of the Apocalypse, please do me a favor to leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure to hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, anyone Patreon down below, range point for as low as count them $1 a month. Get these exclusive videos, early content, and more. Now, let's hop into last week's poll. So, last week I ended up asking y'all with the, heavy, and by heavy, I mean very heavy, and by very heavy, I mean gargantuan amount of foreshadowing that it looked like our cast was no longer going to be our cast. Did y'all think that it was time for them to go? Nasiens, Anne, and Donny. Was it time for them to just get removed from the narrative? Like, did they already serve their purpose? Is it time for them to dip? And once again, y'all have been consistently surprising me on these things. Out of 153 votes, only 32% of y'all said it's time to go. They had their time in the light. It's shadow time. And obviously, like, if you couldn't tell, I also believe that. I just didn't want to believe it. Like, I've been pushing for the fact, like, the moment we got to Leonis, I'm like, oh, well, they're about to get written out of the narrative. Then when Lance got introduced, I was like, oh, well, they're going to get written out of the narrative. But it seems like the 68% of us that do want them to stick around, who said they can stay, they're already Holy Knight level, be a waste for them to go, we ended up getting a W. And with Nakama, that's actually extremely surprising. However, thank you guys so much for participating in last week's poll, and make sure you get your input in on tomorrow's poll, dropping at 12 p.m. Make sure your input is included for next week's review. Now, let's hop into Chapter 83. What's up, guys? Welcome to here we are to review Chapter 83 of Fourknights of the Apocalypse, which is known as The Friends Who Helped You Along the Way. Just kidding, it's known as A Decision to Part. And, like, knowing how this chapter goes, I mean, the name technically does work. Like, I can't get mad at Nakama. Like, he really said, uh-oh, we're gonna go left? Just kidding, we're going right. And, like, snapped my ankles previously, last week. So I'll give him credit. He's a sneaky fellow on this one. So we open up. We do get to see that they did make it. They made it to the King's Chamber. And notably, the Holy Knights there only address Percival, because he's the Knight of Prophecy. Meanwhile, they kind of just ignore everybody else. And another interesting thing is that these guys aren't dressed like we've seen other Holy Knights dress, or just knights in general dressed about the castle. Like, usually the rest of Leonis has the light and dark motif, but for some reason these guys don't, unless I'm missing it. Like, maybe they just don't get enough panel time, but it seems weird. They seem to just be in regular night garb. Who knows, it may just be normal. Maybe the half light, half dark thing is only for some people. Maybe it means something, or maybe Nakama forgot. Knowing Nakama, it's probably the latter. However, with that, I do love that we get to see, due to the doubt that Percival already had, and plus the doubt that was stacked on by Anne and the like, he straight up asked, like, "Alright, level with me real quick, bro. Is Meliodas really the king?" And Donny smacks him upside the head. And we see that these Holy Knights, unlike the ones that were outside and, like, not necessarily talking smack about Meliodas, but more so friendly with him, these guys are like, hey. You are to address him as Sir Meliodas. Mind your manners, please. And, like, father, level with me real quick. But if I were to hop into the narrative, I could drop you. This is the Knight of Prophecy. He will call Meliodas whatever he wants to call Meliodas. However, with that being the case, we see that they are welcomed in, but obviously Anne and the rest of the gang are like, yeah, a Knight of Prophecy, huh? That's a hefty title right there. Be a shame if we weren't the Knights of Prophecy. Oh, wait, we are. And we see that the light and dark motif is kept up there. We see that the king's seat and the queen's seat, the two thrones, do have the demon wing and the goddess wing, which is nice. I do like that parallelism is kept up. And I guess they sort of, once again, I mentioned it way back when we saw the knights in the half light, half dark garb. But I guess they really just remodeled all of Leonis to fit their aesthetic, which is, hey, we're going to be ruling it for the next who knows, bare minimum 1,000 years in Meliodas' case, you might as well. We do get to see that everyone is like a little shaken up. They're like, oh no, whoa, wait a minute. This presence, this aura, it's a little bit insane. What's going on here? Like Donnie's freaking out. But ironically enough, Nasiens is the one, being the goat, obviously. He's like, you know what? What I really don't understand is, why are we here? What is going on? And we see that Anne has no comment at all as Percival is bouncing off the walls. He's like, wow, this is amazing. You get to meet Meliodas. We get to figure out Meliodas is really the king. Everything's going great. Yeah, boom, amazing, right? And everyone else is a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Nettled, perturbed, a little shaky, if you will, to the point where even Percival, of all people, someone who I wouldn't say is the most socially adept, is able to be like, hey, wait a second, something going on here. And we don't get much time to consider that because someone welcomes them all. And this person happens to be Elizabeth, and her eyes are fine, at least seemingly. Like, for the longest time, like ever since, like, I think she appeared verbatim on panel a while ago. Like, as soon as we got to Leonis a while ago. Like, I think, like, early 50s, and now we're obviously in chapter 83. So, with that, everyone was theorizing, myself included, that something was just up with her eyes. Like, maybe she lost them or something like that. Like, someone just went, ooh, are we in Naruto right now? Give me one of those. But, no, both of her eyes are fine. So, I guess the thing is, I don't think Grudge of Edinburgh is even out in Japan, right? Like, it only works because the anime isn't coming out until next year. So technically, and then we know part 2, I don't think comes out until the year after that, but it really depends. It depends on the manga's pacing or how the anime adapts the manga. Because hypothetically, 83 chapters deep, but then again, looking back at the original adaptation, if it's a 12 episode season, like some seasonal anime, then maybe we'll only get to chapter, like, maybe we'll get up to Arthur's introduction and his leaving. Like, maybe we'll get up to that point if it's only a 12 episode season. But right now, where we are, at least if we're going by the original series adaptation, like, we got through, season 1 was literally, like, I think early 100s in terms of chapters, and once again, we're only on chapter 83. So I'm really not sure where the anime is going to adapt to. I'll probably make my own video talking about, like, where I think the anime could go up to, because I think we have hit a season 1 climax and end point, if we were to have that. But regardless, the main point here is that Elizabeth is here. And notably, she is with Thetis. So Thetis, the royal mage, does just accompany the royal family everywhere. And notably, she doesn't look like she's aged at all. And I'm not sure if that has to do with the fact that she just, at 16 years isn't that long time, considering she was she was literally, I think about it, she was literally their age in the previous series. So it makes sense that she hasn't aged too much. She's only, quick math, 32 now. So maybe that's why she hasn't aged that much. Or I wonder if more of her, like, goddess age is kicking in. Because another thing that's kind of sad, I talked about this in the whole, like, Bon and Elaine video. If Meliodas has lived, let's say, like, a 25th, like, because Zeldris is 252, and we'll assume for now, like I used to, that the royal demons have the same lifespan as other demons, which would be 1,000 years. Yeah, Elizabeth has, like, a small 100 in her, because she's in a human vessel. So unless, like, her goddess soul, due to the reincarnation being stopped, is like, oh, whoa, wait a second there, buddy, we gotta stick around a little bit longer, because this is our last run. Meliodas is going to outlive Elizabeth by, like, a lot. Like, a lot. Especially if he's, like, a royal demon, where he's like Chandler and Cusack, and they just kind of never die. Or, like, their father, and they just kind of never die. So, I don't know. It's a weirdly dark path for them to take. But we'll see. However, with this being the case, we see that Anne actually recognizes that face. She looks at Elizabeth, and she immediately sees Tristan. And notably, once again, yeah. No, actually, kind of, though, when I see Meliodas more when I look at Tristan than I see Elizabeth. Maybe this because I just have more general exposure to Meliodas' face, just because he appears more in the manga as compared to Elizabeth. But yeah, you can quite literally see it. I think Tristan's hair does that a lot too, because Tristan's hair is literally just Meliodas with the Elizabeth extension. And we see that even nasiens is like, yo, that's a mama's boy right there. And Donnie's being Donnie. You know what that means. However, regardless, it is amazing to see that one Elizabeth sort of just it's I wonder if like the thing where Donnie says, she's blinding me, I wonder if it's genuinely because she's using arc magic and or it's just like symbolism. Though we do get to see that Elizabeth is like, yeah, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, especially considering my eyes are just fine, I could have casually one-shot Meligal. casually one-shot that man from 50 yards away. But thank you for risking your lives and letting my... I'm sorry, I can't get over it, right? Like, I know, I'll give Elizabeth more of a pass because she was immediately protecting Bartra. Like, we saw her and she was with Bartra. So I can give Elizabeth a pass. But I still can't give Melly a pass for just standing by and being like, huh, yeah, this is my kingdom. Huh, yeah, those are threats that I've body bagged in the past. Huh, yeah, I have like 5 different techniques that could one-shot these people with. Nah, I'll leave it. Let a couple people go. Who cares? I don't know. Still seems a bit weird. However, with that, it is nice to see that Elizabeth is like, yeah, thank you for your assistance. Big W's. We like it. And Donnie, being Donnie, slurps it right up. But of course, we see that Anne is like, wait, if you're the queen, like, is Sir Meliodas here? Like, has he arrived? And, like, Mel, I think you're gonna get me demonetized, bro. Like, I don't even think I can, I don't think I can post this. So what Mel does gets skipped. Like, it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. It simply doesn't. Whatever you think you saw happen on page 7 just did not happen. It wasn't canon. And can I even show that? Page here we go. Page 7 and 8 are not canon. There we go. We are skipping over them. They never happened. Meliodas is not still 5 years old. However, with that being the case, we do see that while Anne is having a heart attack, Percy is kind of just fine with the idea that, oh yeah, this is normal, and you do happen to be the king. And Meliodas is like, well, yeah, is there any reason I would have lied to you about that? And we see even Nasien's a little bit like, maybe he's the kid's younger brother, like maybe Prince Tristan's younger brother. And no, Elizabeth does very clearly elaborate that, yeah, that is Meliodas, King of Leonis. At one point, like, yeah, seriously, at one point before we knew about Chaos, Meliodas was the strongest character in the verse. So he's been, just based on like a sheer knowledge gap, he's been the strongest in the verse a couple times, but like sheer verbatim without knowledge of Chaos, he was once the strongest in the verse. And currently he is the husband and king of Leonis. And once again, we do, ironically enough, this is weird wording. I'm going to assume this is just a translation thing. Like, this doesn't mean they secretly have a daughter or something like that. But Meliodas specifically says, he says, got that right, which means Tristan is my and Elizabeth's only son, not only child. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to read into that at all. Like, do they have a daughter? I don't know. I don't think so. I highly doubt Nakaba would just like slide that under the rug. But at the same time, Nakaba is famous for his little wording tricks. So maybe they have a daughter. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Interesting. However, with that being the case, we do get to see that Anne's reality sort of ceases existing. And I wish I could laugh at her pain, but I honestly, sometimes I wish that Meliodas in the Wanted poster was real too. No, I'm kidding. Though we do get to see that as Anne is fighting through her despair, the introductions are now out of the way, and it's time to get to the main topic of the chapter of the discussion and why they're here. And like we predicted, ironically enough, a lot of us are talking about how Lance would come and snitch on them, and Lance did indeed tell them about all their hard efforts. Donny, Nasiens, and Angle. And is it Anglehad? For some reason, every time I read her name, like I want to throw in a whole bunch of extra letters. Like I want to say Angalahad, but it's not her name. Yeah, like that's just not her name. It's Anglehad, but I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it. People, please, the anime isn't out yet. Correct my pronunciation. I'm going to usually call her Anne, but whenever I see her name, it always like trips me up, punches me in the face, and keeps me moving. But still, with that being the case, we do get to see that Meliodas is like, wow, yeah, you guys did a great job. You've done well coming as far as Leonis to support Percival. And like, if Meliodas got like the full detail, he's kind of downplaying low-key. Like, these guys literally awakened and used their magic properly yesterday, bro. Like, they're kind of demons. However, with that being the case, we see everyone is kind of just like, yeah, we ain't all that. We kind of fought. And we see that Percy's like, yeah, the squad is what allowed me these infinite W's. And with these infinite W's, hey, okay? What's poppin'? Brand new looting down. But he's like, what's going on, guys? And Meliodas, being Meliodas, is like, hey, it's cruel of me to say this, but are you prepared to say goodbye? Like, I get it just for the framing of the chapter, but this definitely seems like, for some reason I read this in the Xemnas voice. Like, straight up Xemnas, Kingdom Hearts 2 manipulating. Like, I don't know why he would frame it like this, or why he would just stop the sentence like this. Like, he even looks all sad and ominous. Like, this is I guess he doesn't view this as a joyous event because, like, these are kids, and he obviously doesn't want to enlist kids. But still, he says it so ominously. And, like, this leads to the whole misunderstanding where they're like, yo, Percival, let's level with you real quick, dog. You are Himothy Hearn. You're not Lance, but you're close enough. You're one of the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse. And I know they didn't teach you arithmetic up there, but 4 means 4. And thusly, there can't be any more. So we have to go out the plot back door. I don't care if it leaves you kind of... I'm sorry. But with that being the case, they're like... I guess, like, scaling doesn't necessarily matter to them. It's only us, the readers, who are thinking, like, but y'all are kind of different. But, like, as Anne brings up the fact that he's a 4 Knight of the Apocalypse and they're not, Nasiens goes on to say, like, yeah, level in which we ain't even really holy nice like that. Like, from now on, you need someone with the strength to fight by your side. Nasiens, don't tell me you forgot when you soloed a whole holy knight. Regardless. And Donnie's like, try to understand. We can't keep dragging you down by the legs forever. Like, Donnie, you yourself bullied Doorknock before you even knew how to use your magic properly. Like, this is yesterday. No, but you definitely understand where the guys are coming from. And we get to see Percy, once again, he's ragging on himself. He's like, yo, then if you're fodder, I'm fodder. I didn't even do anything yesterday. I just kept dragging everybody down, even though that's also just not true. But we'll let it slide. And we see that Percival brings up a pretty valid point. He's like, yo, the only reason I got this far is because I had all of you to help me. And considering his magic is literally hope-based, yeah, that is the case. But with that being the case, I wonder if the chapter hadn't, like, faked this out and gone in a different direction. Would he have, like... Because then again, he still has all the beliefs of the people of Leonis, including Meliodas and Elizabeth. So I wonder, would he have gone into despair? Like, is it possible for him to enter despair right now? I genuinely don't know. Because he has so many people believing in him right now. Is his emotional state something that can trigger despair? Or not? I don't know, stroking the beard at that. However, with that being the case, we see that Percival's like, no, you can't leave me. No, not with Lance. He lied to me. He's not really a fox. We'll always be together. Friends, please. And Donnie throws Percival to the ground. And like, dude, not necessary. With that being the case, he's like, you're the one who's got to save the world. You're the one who's better than us. You're the one who will do all of what I just said. So obviously them staying a team can't happen. And like it's weird, right? Because in my initial reading of this, I was like, wow, are we really doing it? I was feeling it, but like now knowing where this goes, it's like, okay, whatever. Then we get to see that as everyone sort of resigns to their fate, even nasiens like, Percival, I want to travel with you more, but I'm just too fodder. Anne finally comes up, and I will admit, I'm liking Anne more and more. Now with how Nakaba has decided to position her in the narrative, I'm liking her a whole lot more, and I'm glad she's going to stick around after this. She says, I swear to you someday I'll become a holy knight and catch up to you, so just wait for me, will you? And we see Percival breaks down into tears, and as everyone's crying and breaking down, Meliodas is like, hello, pardon me, is this mic working? Because fellas, did you get the wrong idea about this? And we see Anne gets extremely angry because they're having a nice little emotional moment here. And Meliodas asks Elizabeth to hand him a sword. And notably, it's not Lost Fame, so gosh darn it. But regardless, he takes out this sword and he beckons Anne over. And, no, I won't make the joke. He says, kneel before me. Go ahead. Yuck, yuck, yuck. But regardless, we do get to see that Donny believes that Anne's going to get beheaded for her rudeness. And that's another dark turn the chapter could have taken. But regardless, we do get to see that Anne gets knighted. And she says, or no, Meliodas says, Anne Galahad, or Angel, and Anglehad. And yeah, there's no A after the L. So Anglehad, in the name of the King of Leonis, I appoint thee as a holy knight. And like, I love it. I was just so like, yeah, I gotta do this because I have to do this. He's like, okay, next. He does Donny, and he does nasiens. Everyone is now a holy knight. He's like, all right, y'all three of you keep helping Percival, right? And with that being the case, they're all like, wait a minute, but you just said we need to say goodbye. And Meliodas was like, yeah, if you had let me finish my sentence, you would know I meant it's time for you to say goodbye to your normal lives until we put an end to the war. So it works out. It's a nice little twist. And we see that everyone is ready to support the squad. And with that being the case, they make one request of Meliodas to never trick them like that again. And I give them credit. Overall, a really, really nice chapter. Very neat, very cute. Can't wait for the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dag of the Pencil, writing off.